The conversation around money continues because it is never a conversation that I believe we are ever truly done with. We talked about money last season. We talked about not managing money correctly. So let's really get into some financial planning. Hello and welcome to Ladies Listen Up. I am your host, Gwendolyn G.R. Houston Jack. Okay, we are still here. We are here when it comes to money, and let's just go ahead and say this. I gotta believe, because I'm speaking from my own experience, that when we talk about money and self-worth, they do go hand in hand. Just a little bit, right? If you feel as if you don't have enough, you may feel less than. And for those of us who have the right amount or an abundance, we feel as if everything is in the right place. However, studies have shown that most American families are one major incident away from the poverty line. So clearly, we're still missing some major points. And I also want to add in there too, when it comes to women, society likes to believe that women have no understanding of money, that we just don't truly know how to grasp the concept of money. Take it back. If you let society tell it, our only focus for money is spending it and spending someone else's money. That's as good as it gets for us. But those are lies. Those are the lies that society tells us. Those are the lies that some of us have accepted. We are beyond those lies. So today we are going to focus on financial planning. We need to work on the essentials, and that is today's message. Okay, so let's start this lesson with defining financial literacy. And let me make a couple of notations. One, I am not a financial advisor. That is not what I do. Two, as I always say, get you some good people to help you through this journey. So find a financial advisor. And lastly, I know at my bank, they offer free financial advising sessions. So I would say take them up on that if your bank or credit union offers that. All that aside, let's have a general conversation about financial literacy. Let's start there. So, what does that mean? It pretty much means understanding how money works in the real world. There you go. Now, it's more than that, right? Because there is a part where you want to think about your long-term financial goals and financial health. And there are other parts in there that make up literacy, such as planning, budgeting, credit management, investing. Like all of those things are in there. Now, we are not covering all of that. We're not. Today, we are looking at the essentials of financial planning. That's where I want to go, because a lot of us feel some kind of way, again, about money. And if there's anything I want to leave anybody with, it is getting comfortable with talking about money with your family and your friends. Get you two people, get you one person. Forget two, get one person that you can start having this conversation with, because the more you talk about it, the better you will feel in making decisions for X, Y, and Z down the road. So that's what I want to start with. And clearly I'm looking at, personal finance. I'm using my own my whole story to talk about it. And hey, I don't mind talking about it. I know I'm not the only one who has had some issues mismanaging money. I know I'm not the only one, so I'm okay in talking about what we need to talk about. So let's just start with financial planning. Can we go there? And the reason why I keep bringing this up about women is women are making a lot of money than we were before. Like we now have the right to own our own money, own our own land, cars, and what have you. And there are a lot of women who are in school, who are working, who are bringing home the bacon, and then also being asked to cook it. Different topic. But women have money. We have the money. Now, I get it. Society has made a big deal about us being gold diggers and all this other things. But keep in mind that society, for a good chunk of time, and even a little bit still, treated women as property. Right? So if you were treating me like property and I would like to be set up with somebody, then you will find somebody who may be looking for a partner just for their money. All of that aside, let's talk about some basics. And I'm going to again use myself as an example. So the last time we chatted, we had a kerfuffle of a time with money. We were way over our head in terms of spending way beyond my means. And if I may, the American society loves to tell its citizens to just simply finance our dreams. You rarely hear of stories, advice even, where people tell you just use cash. Now, I'm going to back it up a little bit. I am old school, so I recall the envelope method, where you wrote down each area of your life on an envelope, which is all part of your budgeting, right? So you're looking at, I have rent or mortgage, I may have an auto loan, I have groceries, there may be like a credit card payment or something here, and you put money into each of those envelopes, and that's what you had to spend. So if you put aside $100 to spend on groceries, that's all you spent. That is it. And once it's empty, you're like, okay, we got to make this work until next time we get to deposit into the envelope. That's where I'm coming from. And my dad was all about cash, as I showed you. Cash is king. He's like, look, have cash, you ain't got to worry about anything, which is true. Still very true. And I know I have seen some YouTube persons, discuss using your credit card for this, using your credit card for that, and don't use your debit card. Every single situation is different. We're not one size fits all. And here's my discussion for some of this. If you are a person who, and I'm going to use the word abuse credit. I'm using it for myself. Abuse credit. Kind of went out there all willy-nilly. I had to put myself on a cash-only budget to understand, to get my mind rewired to understand how to use credit wisely. People give advice, you take what you want. But if you're a person who just got out of debt, just got yourself to a place of, I'm not living paycheck to paycheck, I'm probably two paychecks, right? If you just got out of the hole, the last thing I would tell somebody is to go back to doing what you were just doing, right? I would, first, this is me personally, for my own deal, I went to a cash-only diet. Now, people talk about take your credit cards and put them in the freezer and freeze them so you can't get to them, which is great. It can work. I've never done that. It can work. I just took all of mine out. But not only did I take all of mine out, here's the other thing that got me. I really thought about what I wanted more. I wanted the financial freedom to do what I wanted to do more than I wanted the immediate satisfaction of purchasing a handbag or a pair of shoes or anything else. The idea of paying off my auto loan, paying off the student loan, paying off a credit card, like that feeling of getting it down to zero mattered more to me than the latest, greatest, whatever. And so it's not denying myself something. It is working towards what I really, really want in the future. So you have to ask yourself, what do you really want? I have already said it. I have lived the life of fashion designers, lived the life of, sit on the sidelines at a Neiman Marcus fashion show. Like, we've been there and done that. And at the end of the day, it doesn't bring you anything, right? Like, it's good for that season and then it goes away. And you're left with whatever. This is not to say that people who enjoy shoes, and I mean shoes, sneakers, heels, whatever, handbags, do what you do. If you've got it, hey, great, have at it. But for the average person, what do we really need? Like, what do we really, really need? So for me, when I got into that kerfuffle, and let me tell you how bad it was. So it was New York State seized my checking account. The IRS was coming for me. So I had to make a payment plan with that because that was going to get kind of wonky. I had my student loans coming up as well. So it was a lot, but I agreed to some things to get through it. I agreed to, hey, IRS, take what you got to take so I can get done with this. Now, I did it in stages. So let me just make sure that's understood, because I was still underemployed, trying to get back to where I was, and that takes time, mind you. It takes time to get back to that. That was not like, it was not like that. That took time. But after considering ending it all, because I was like, I just don't know what to do with myself, I thought, wait a minute. We've had worse. This is just a blip on a long journey to wherever I'm going. I'm not going to let this financial blip get me down. I'm going to work through it. And keep in mind, this was the second time, because the first time I was doing the things when I was in my 20s and in college, not smart. So I had waited through the 7 years to get out of it. So much so that I, was able to move back to New York and took care of everything and everything was paid for. It was beautiful. And then we got into a little bit of a trouble. We got into some trouble doing some other things. And there was the financial crisis. So there was a lot of stuff happening. Like I said, trying to figure it all out. It was just bad. It's just all so bad. But it's never so bad that you can't find your way out of it. That much I remembered. So what I had to do is I had to start with a really good, honest analysis of where I was with money. Now, we talked about last season your relationship with money, right? Like understanding your relationship. Money is not the root of all evil. It isn't. What people do for money is probably evil, right? How they use it is probably, but money itself is just it's just another tool to get services or product. It itself is not evil. But understand your relationship. And so I started with a budget, figuring out what I needed for each individual part of life, right? So rent or mortgage, car, groceries, debt, like debt management. And debt management is not just credit cards. Debt management is your auto loans, personal loans, credit cards, student loan, like all of that is in there. If you owe somebody some money, that's in the debt management. So that's all in there. And I had to write down and look at what was what in terms of interest rates and make a plan. Now, I know some people will say do the biggest thing first and chip down away it. I like to go for small wins because small wins make you believe that this is doable. If you've got the bill that's $300 and you can spend $150 this paycheck and the next paycheck, $300 gone, can you imagine how you feel? It feels good because you're like, God, I did it. I can do this. And that's why I go for do the small stuff first and then chip away at the big stuff and da-da-da-da. Everybody has their own method of doing it, but I'm just going over what I did. So I made the budget and I didn't do the envelope system this time around. I didn't do that, but we were cash focused. We did not, the whole idea was to get rid of the credit cards. It was to pay them off and be done with it. You do need at least one. And I would be like, right, you need at least one because if you're going to travel, using your debit card is a awful thing, in my opinion. It's awful. So you have one credit card for travel and then make it work. Get that out there. But we made the budget and we stuck to it. We didn't go out to eat. We took our lunch. We fixed our breakfast. You know, we reduced some other things. And let me just take a quick little side note. Time out. Storage units. If I ever really wanted to figure out how to make some cash, I need to invest in a storage unit facility because there are people countrywide with stuff. They're paying rent for stuff that they don't even see every day and probably have no idea what's in there. But they're paying anywhere from $200 to $400, $500 to store stuff that you could probably just sell or donate and get rid of it. Now, I had stuff in the storage unit because, again, I moved here and I thought, okay, how do I reduce this bill? Well, my grandma had a garage. And it looks like everybody has something in her garage. So I was like, can I just get like a little plot, a space like about this big to put my stuff in there so I can save money and not pay this every month? Yeah. So it worked out. So you find ways to get creative. You either get rid of the stuff and buy it when you actually need it, or figure out there's somebody who would assist you in saving some cash some way. That's what we did. Split groceries with my friend. Now, we didn't eat the same thing, but we ate enough of the same things that we could split the grocery bill. And no, we didn't do a lot of traveling and eating out. You know, I don't, this new wave of youngsters out here eating their crab legs and lobster this and that and want to drive the Mercedes-Benz. Hey, have at it. If you got it. But ask yourself, is it really worth it at the end of the day? But everybody has to have that discussion with themselves. If we really looked around our house, we would recognize that we have more than enough. And for me, I'm going to use the word losing. Losing my footing, losing my stability, helped me recognize what all I really needed. I don't need 50,000 pairs of shoes. I don't need a whole bunch of handbags. And when we reduced the spending, we reduced a lot of the spending because it became a matter of what's really necessary. Like, what is really necessary? That conversation, that chat needs to be had with yourself. Because a lot of us have bought into the American dream, which is I get to show you how wealthy I am by how big my house is, the car I drive, the clothes I wear, the labels on those clothes, where I get to vacation. We have bought into that. A number of us have bought into that. There's also a number of us who realize none of that matter. Because it's not even worth it. It's just not. There are other things that you can do that really show wealth more than the XYZ belt or the XYZ shoes, whatever. Enjoy what you enjoy. So hear me clearly. I enjoy 𝐒𝐜𝐴 cookware. Don't have to have it, but it's what I enjoy. However, I have made accommodations in my financial planning that allows me to purchase 𝐒𝐜𝐴. Now, I don't need any more now because, how many Dutch ovens do you really need? How many stock pots do you need, right? That's the catch. It's like, what do we really, really need? And none of those things are attached to our self-worth. They're not. I get what society tells us. We can't let that get into our head. You have to do better. And when you know better, you tend to do better. That's what I heard. So let's talk about doing some work, shall we? Let's do the work. All right, so I have shared, again, part of my story, and we'll keep sharing it because, when people recognize that you have been where they possibly are, it's different. And I will tell you that I had my Camry until she was like 215,000 miles. And even then I was like, I'm not buying another car. My husband's like, babe, you're going to have to get something new. Because, now when I say new, I don't mean new off the lot. It's new to me. Okay? I have always had pre-owned. Never had anything new. And it don't matter. I got to get from point A to point B. That's all that matters. If I get a good deal, I am happy with that. Right? So just, we have to reframe our financial thoughts. I know what the world shows us. I know what social media shows us. It's a lot of good storytelling. Don't get caught up into that. Don't get caught up into it. You're going to have to do what's best for you. So when you as a woman take control of your finances, I got to tell you, it feels pretty good. It's very empowering to have your own money. Even if you get an allowance, because we're not judging anybody here, having your own feels good. Being financially independent feels good. You can go out when you want to. You can do what you want. You can buy what you want. It's great. My husband and I, we have 3 accounts. There is the house account to take care of house bills and things. And then we each have our own personal accounts. So we're not hiding anything here. We're going to take these bills, split them, and then whatever else, we get to do whatever we want to do with it. Do I ever ask my husband advice before I purchase something? I do, because I want somebody to talk me off the ledge. I'm like, do I really need this? Do I really? And so we'll talk about pluses and minuses. We'll do that. But it's not asking for permission. It is do I really need it? And need is hard because some of this ain't a need. And I said ain't. Some of it ain't a need. No. These are wants. These are wants. These are not, we need to have this. So we're talking about the budget. Start there first. Think about how to spend your money and also save it. Now, I am part of the profit first mentality, which is a business strategy, but it's just pretty much the envelope idea for a business where you take your profit first and then you have all these other accounts to manage your business. The same can be done in personal finance. Put money aside for your savings first and then take care of everything else. Now, someone's going to say, well, what exactly does $10 do? If you get paid weekly, $10 a week adds up. All of it adds up, but save something. So pay yourself first. Keep in mind what needs to be paid, your lights, utilities, your mortgage, your rent, all that stuff. Take care of the other things, but make sure that you look at yourself first. Create that rainy day fund. Nope, you're not probably gonna come out the gate $100, whatever it is, but start saving something. It's gotta start somewhere. And let me say this, just real quick about that profit first idea, or I should say the mentality. When you start looking at money differently, and every single portion has its own account, like literally the business has multiple accounts. If I don't have the money in operating expenses, we don't get to do anything. It's not there, because it's not there. The money for taxes is for taxes. We don't touch it. And once you get accustomed to living on a specific diet, that budget, you don't even see the money because it's out of sight, out of mind. So when it's time to pay taxes, I'm never concerned because that money has been sitting there waiting for the taxes, both state and federal. It's just waiting. When you get your mind right, when you get committed to living a particular way, again, the want for the long term, at least for me, became far more important than all the short term whatevers. And everybody has to find their special spot. Maybe the one indulgence is going out to eat once a month. And even then, you may go with a friend and split an appetizer or split a meal, whatever. Or maybe it's buying the one book. Maybe it's getting the one bottle of wine. But you have to decide what that means for you. But starting with the budget and putting it on paper, I put it all on paper to make sure I know what's going on. In order for me to pay off the IRS, the New York State Tax Department, my student loan, yeah, I had to write that, so I had to write them suckers down. Like, let me write this down real quick, see what's going on. And we had to get clean, get honest. And because of that, I can make a plan for how to knock down that debt, all while still saving some money for me. And if you have a company that has a 401k plan that matches, don't leave that free money on the table. Our company matched up to 4%. So I gave 4, they gave 4, 8% was being put aside. Don't leave free money on the table. If they have a flex spending account or health spending account, that's tax-free money. Again, for things you know you're going to do, like your eyeglasses and dental work and things like that, put that money aside. But if you don't know what's going on and you refuse to look at how you use your money and where you are financially, it's gonna be a hard one. It's gonna be a hard one. So here are my suggestions. I got a couple of books. There is The Smart Woman's Guide to Planning for Retirement by Nancy L. Anderson. There's also The Financially Savvy Spender by Jan Chesen, Chesen. And then my favorite, I got this when I went off to college. This is funny, right? Like how some of these books stay with you. These books stay with me. The Ernst & Young's Financial Planning Essentials, Plan Now for Your Financial Security. It's how I got started. Now, I did go astray. I admit that. But I think most of us may have had a moment or two where we went astray. But what I love about this is it goes through all the things starting with your budget first. And then it'll walk you into investing and planning for the future and planning for future wealth, like insurance, things of that nature. Trust, life insurances, estate taxes, all that kind of stuff right here. Now, this is a very old edition. Do I want to tell you how old this is? Let me see how old this is. I can't. Can I even find when I bought this? I'll have to look. But it is still available. It is still in print. So you don't have to get my old edition of it. Oh, 1999, girl. You don't have to get my old edition. You can get an updated edition with all the latest, greatest financially. But we don't have to stay at a place where we feel funny talking about our dollars and our cents, because that does not make sense. It doesn't. But as always, I say to you, give yourself the space and grace to grow and learn.